What's up? Here we are back with another episode of All Things Marriage. We're your hosts, Derek
and Crystal Robinson. Hey guys, welcome.
Welcome. And this week we are going to be talking about training our partners.
Yeah.
Because we all need a little home training.
We all do. We all do. And hopefully your partner came home trained when you got him.
Right. But before we get into it, we as always, we want to give a big shout out to all of our love and support out there. You know, we want to say thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
If you're new to the channel, you guys go ahead and if you like what you hear, go ahead and share this video.
Right.
Like us, hit that bell notification. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. All Things Marriage.
And yeah.
So how to train your partner.
Right.
How can we train our partners? Can we train our partners?
Right. Let's be clear. I don't need no training.
Okay.
But beyond that, for the non-superiors. No, I'm kidding.
Terrible.
I'm kidding. No. Training your partner, how to train your partner, should you train your partner, when to train your partner, what are you training them on? All of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will speak from the perspective of, the male.
Okay.
And I'll say this, and I'll be frank and honest, blunt, upfront, all of that jazz.
Yes. Please do.
We need some work. We're terrible people.
What do you mean?
Like men as a whole. We're horrible people.
Okay.
And I say that not in the sense of, men are bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But realistically speaking, the average male, and I can only speak for, myself and those that I know.
Mm-hmm.
The average male is super low maintenance.
Okay.
Right? Ridiculously low maintenance. There's a lot of things that we need that we find ourselves making do without, unless
healthcare, going to the doctor.
Right, yeah. Unless there is someone in our lives that pushes us to want better for ourselves, right? And it's just like you'll find a guy who's the gym rat, and they're like, oh, super healthy, whatever. I only eat this and I only do, and I work out 6 times a day and all of that other stuff. And it's just like, but bro, you haven't been, like you said, you haven't been to the doctor in 10 years.
I go to the gym. I'm fine.
I go to the gym and I drink plenty of water, right? And similarly in our relationships, we just don't think of certain things. Like the age-old question of, is chivalry dead? No, it's not that chivalry's dead. It's just that most of us don't necessarily know or perceive the instances of when to be chivalrous unless we're constantly surrounded by those of us who would hold us to the standard of chivalry. It's not that we're bad people or not that we don't care to. You just don't think about it. Realistically, a single guy is almost who's been single and is content in his singleness will almost never think, let me open this car door for my significant other or for the girl that I'm dating or we just hanging out, whatever. Let me open the door for her. Let me wait to pull off before she's buckled, before her seatbelt is buckled. Let me wait to make sure let me walk her to her door and make sure she gets in the house or whatever. Because
unless you've been trained that way. If it hasn't been instilled in you. But
even in the home training that your parents or whatever parental guardian you had, even with that, those things, it doesn't necessarily leave you because you know how to do it. But those things you don't just think, let me make sure I do this all the time, if there's not someone there that's constantly reminding you of that.
Okay.
So that's my little disclaimer on the front end.
So you're saying men need to be trained? Is that what you're saying?
No. No.
That's what I heard.
No, what I'm saying is because essentially what I'm saying is the training is there, but we have to be constantly. It's like if you don't use it, you lose it. You have to be constantly put in the situation to utilize that skill, or it's just like whatever.
So I would say, I guess you're practicing constantly, so you're not necessarily waiting till you get into a relationship to open the door. You're opening doors for your mother. You're opening doors for your siblings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. But let's just say, I went off to college and I moved out of my parents' house, and I ain't live with my mama. I ain't live with my sisters. It's me and the homies, and it's been me and the homies. I leave school, go to college. I'm in college for my four or more years, depending on your situation. And then I'm, getting my job or whatever. And then it's just me and my roommate for the next 4 or 5 years after college. So that's 9-10 years of, I ain't opening the door for you.
You can open the door for your friends.
No, I can't.
No, in a way, you can. But not like, hey, yeah, you go first, but like if I go through, I'm holding the door.
But what I'm saying is,
holding the door.
You have 10 years almost of that non-etiquette now. You know what I'm saying? Of that non-companionship etiquette, and 10 years of it's just me and the homies here. So
in 10 years, you haven't dated anybody? Or
maybe, I don't know.
Went to a coffee shop and held the door?
Nah, none of that.
Okay.
None of that. Single life.
So, what I have heard is, yes, you guys do need training.
Sure.
Because,
not me, we guys.
But
them, you guys.
You guys require training from your partner, because you need somebody to force you into, not force.
Oh, force.
But that word force is there. I done said it already. Right. You need somebody who encourages you.
That's a better word.
To apply your training.
To be great. There's a way to be great. There is a way to be great. You
are definitely great when you have a great woman behind you.
So
besides you, excuse me, ladies.
So that's a small area, right? But I will say too, women need training.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna get that.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Because we're not gonna have the fellas looking bad out here. I need you to say some stuff that women need training.
But you did it, fellas. He did it, right? I didn't say anything.
Just go with your part.
Ladies require a certain type of training as well. Especially when we hear the word submit.
Yeah.
We don't particularly like the word submit when our spouses or when males in general say the word submit towards us, like we need to submit. We kind of have a little pushback. And
it's a trigger word.
It's a trigger word. And depending on what day, what female, you might get some ugly stares and some ugly words.
Right.
But I think
say submit.
Submit. Okay. Anyway.
So every time we say submit, we gotta get ready.
Anyway, 12-year-old. Ladies we require training in how to run our home. That doesn't necessarily come from our parents all the time. They train us to a certain extent, but when we get into relationships, we have to understand how our spouses, how our partners would like the house ran, or what is better for us in, living our lives. And sometimes it's a challenge to get the operation of the household and of your lives being together. It's a hard task. So there are different things that women need training in from our partners.
Right.
Because we have it all together. We like to be, dressed up and done up, makeup and hair, so we can attract the males. But once we get with the male,
you don't know what to do with yourself.
Sometimes we fall off. Sometimes we feel as though, okay, we got you now. I don't really,
right,
you know,
get a little headstrong, you know.
Right. I do what I want to do. I was acting this way when we got together.
Right.
So
yeah.
what's the problem now? And that statement actually I've known from both sides, male and female.
Right.
I was this way when we got together. So what's the
difference?
What's the need in changing? Yeah.
So I would say, and from the guy thing, that may be some petty things that men need to be trained on, right? Like, but I look at it like this, and when we say train, let's be clear. Let's define that real quick, because a lot of people get a little antsy, kind of like the whole submission thing.
Yeah, we're not dogs.
Right.
We're not dogs. We're not pets. You know, you pet me and ringing the bell.
Right, yeah. Now, although that is a really great science experiment, if you ever want to see science in action, find you something that your partner really likes, like chocolates or, you know, I don't know, kisses, anything. Something that your partner really likes, and then ask them to do a thing, or, you know, or wait till they do something that you approve of, an approved action, right? A good thing. And then give them said chocolate. Give them said piece of candy.
As the psychology major, don't.
No, do it. I'm telling you, please do it.
This was done with dogs.
And humans.
It was done on a show with humans.
It's done in real life with humans. It's literally how you train children. You tell the child to do something, and then you give them, it's called positive reinforcement. You give them positive reinforcement when they do the thing that you like. It's yay, congratulations. And then when they do the thing you don't like, it's no, bad. And then they...
No, I understand that. But don't just do that as an experiment.
No, seriously.
That was fine. Done with dogs.
Okay, fine. Don't do it as an experiment. Do
it. Anyway, because you just went down a whole rabbit hole.
I did. But no, so anywho, back on track. There are aspects and things that we need to, and not say, I don't want to say train, but to help our partners grow in the area, to, like we've talked about before, learn to be the best partner for us, and for us to learn to be the best partner for them, to grow together and become a complete whole, to become a unit, right? A partnership. And so again, I look at it like basketball or football or anything. If you have a basketball team, everybody can't be the point guard. You can't have 5 point guards on the floor at the same time. It just doesn't work. Somebody has to be the shooting guard. Somebody has to play the center position. You know, somebody needs to be inside rebounding. You can't have everybody. This is a shot to the NBA a little bit. You can't have everybody just chucking threes and nobody rebounding. It doesn't work. You'll never win a title. You have to have different ones playing different parts. And what role I need fit, you may not be proficient in that, but I can assist you in learning how to be proficient in that thing.
Right.
And vice versa.
I think the key is knowing your partner, though, because if we try to force our partner to do something,
right?
Like if I try to force you to talk and you're not in a mood to talk, like if you're upset, I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
You know, I need to understand that when my partner is upset, I can't force him to talk.
Right.
I can't force her to talk.
Right.
So I have to, it's honestly psychology, yes. I have to understand my partner, and I have to figure out tactics and ways. And some people may say that's so much. Relationship, marriage is a lot.
It's a job.
Sometimes you do have to not play mind games, but you have to get mentally aware and cognizant of your partner.
Right.
How do they think? What ticks them off in good ways and in bad ways?
Right.
What can I say or do to help show them that, okay, this works better in our relationship.
Right.
If I do this, if I try this, if I improve in this area and decrease in another area, this helps my relationship.
Right.
And, you know, when we hear the word training, it's like, oh, no, I'm not your pet. But
I'm not your child.
It's honestly what is happening. We're training each other to be the perfect
to be with each other. Yeah.
Right.
And I say that, and that kind of leads into the question of how should you train your partner, or what training is needed? What areas do you train your partner in? Right.
I would say one, don't force your partner.
Right.
Forcing is not training.
Well, even before the how, I would say, what types of things do you train your partner to do? Or do you train your partner in? It does, but I do feel like there are some general things, right? That are consistent across relationships.
Right, like the communication.
Right, exactly.
You train your partner
how to communicate
with you by communicating effectively with them. How you will want to be communicated.
Right. So for example, in the communication thing, and we've talked about this before. You just mentioned it not too long ago. One of the things for me, especially on the front end of our relationship, was, you know, I have always been one who deals with things internally. You know what I mean? It's not that, something bothers me and then I shut down. But it's more so like I need to process in here, and I can figure it out in here, but I need to figure it out. And so while I'm figuring out, leave me alone. Right. You know what I mean? And being in our relationship and learning our relationship and being trained how to communicate with you, I realized that it may take me 2 weeks to figure a thing out, but I can't wait 2 weeks to communicate with you. You know what I mean? And so one of the things that I had to be trained in was the art of communicating even when I don't feel like it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If nothing else, expressing, like verbally expressing, I do not feel up to communicating now.
Right.
Give me a day and then we can talk about it tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's so vice versa, you know, on your end it was you have to learn, hey,
turn your volume down when you speaking.
Turn the volume turn the volume down when you talk to me. And just because we don't talk about it now doesn't mean it's not going to be talked about.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not gonna make you wait forever, but I can make you wait, but I can't make you wait forever.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for you, it was learn patience. You know what I'm saying? And learn patience in communication.
Right.
For me, it was a learn not, I ain't gonna say aggressiveness, but learn like persistence or immediacy in communication. Right. And so. And it goes beyond communication. It's, you know, sometimes it's financial. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes you know, it's cooking. You know what I mean? I may be a terrible cook. You may be a terrible cook. But I like my food a certain way. You like your food a certain way. So the easiest way to get over that hurdle is let's hop in the kitchen together. Right. You know, you know, babe, I love the fact that you cook for me, but you put a little too much salt in the fried chicken. Right. Pull back on the salt a little bit. Don't just use plain salt. Maybe half as much and throw a little Lowry's in there. Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a training moment. Right. But it becomes a moment of intimacy and communication and love and sharing, and less of a you do it this way type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Like I'm demanding you. Right. And it's just like, but I mean, now I'm gonna do it because you demanded that.
That's a problem. Like that, and that's one of the things that men and women have to get out of. Yeah. Like doing things or not doing things out of spite. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's something that we have to. There's my football coaches back in, you know, my high school days. It's so long ago. It makes me sad.
Okay, baby.
But I had to, but back in football, I said earlier, there's a way to be great. That's one of the sayings that, our coaches used to give us. There's a way to be great, but they also used to preach. There's a willingness to be taught. You have to be willing to be taught this thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. Like, I can train, teach all I want to. If you don't have the desire to learn, then my teaching is in vain.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You have to have a willingness to be taught.
Yeah.
And then when you have a willingness to be taught, then there's a way to be great. But you can't be great without the willingness.
Yeah, because one of the things that we need to learn, it's a tough pill to swallow, is you don't know everything. You have some understanding and growing to do. Mm-hmm. And your partner sometimes is the person that's going to teach you. And you might not like it, but you don't know everything.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
You just don't. Like, one of the issues that I have is I don't necessarily like for you to give me too many instructions on something that I'm trying to learn on my own.
Pause. She doesn't necessarily like for me to give her. The key word in this is me. Crystal doesn't like for Derek to give her too many instructions on a thing that she's trying to learn.
I like to go my speed, and I like to pause, and I'll pick that up later, play, pause, maybe 2 more weeks. Give me 2 more weeks.
And this is where that whole positive reinforcements come in.
Oh, goodness. I'm not going to shake my head on that.
Nope, you already started.
I'm not going to shake my head.
You already started. But no, seriously, it's crazy because that's similar to myself. Like, I don't have a problem with someone teaching me a thing. Or when someone says, hey, here's a thing, and I don't know it, and it's just, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Now go on, let me figure it out.
Yeah, now get out of the way. Like,
I'll figure it out.
And I guess that's where we differ. You're kind of like, you're more so, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're more so, I don't know. I know I don't know. Let me figure it out.
Yeah.
And whereas I'm more so like, I didn't know. Please share that. All right, get away from me. Like, once you've shared, move. You know what I mean? And we both don't like the hovering.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, don't hover. I feel you. I don't even like, this is so off topic, I don't even like people watching me write something down.
No fact.
Like, don't sit there and watch me write. That, I don't know.
Right.
I have weird quirks, people, so, excuse me.
But yeah, no. I get you. But like I said, there are instances and aspects and things that you need to train a person in and on.
Yeah. And
for me, if it's something that is, like we've talked about deal breakers before, right? If you have or you find a deal breaker in a budding relationship, that may not necessarily be an area, an actual deal breaker. I can't deal with this person anymore. It's over. Get out of my face. That may be an area of training for both you and them on how to communicate. On how to study the other person and learn the other person.
Right.
And that may be an area where that's an opportunity to sit down and have the conversation and say, hey, why is it that you do this thing? Or what are you thinking of what do you think when this thing comes up? And this is how I think, this is how I feel about it. Let's try this. Let's try that. And to me, the key in the training is for someone to receive the training, again, to have that willingness to be taught, the key is, like, don't tell me, show me. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I don't, again, like I said with the whole cooking thing, I appreciate the attempts, but that's not necessarily to my taste.
Right.
Let's do it this way. Let's try this.
Right.
And then for you to, again, positive reinforcement, you constantly showing, one, the appreciation for the attempts to try to learn. And then it's kind of like a yeah and, not a yeah but.
Right.
It's just like, you did this, but it wasn't. And it was like, well, yeah, you did this great. Now let's add this thing. You know what I'm saying? Let's do. And when I see you constantly making efforts or surrounding a thing, then it makes me want to. It makes me say, hey, how can I make that? You know what I'm saying? I see this as a thing.
Right.
How can I make that better?
Right.
What part do I play? Let me make sure I'm playing my role. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that's key in training and knowing how to train your partner in something is understanding, again, and it all boils down to communication. How to communicate, this is an area of training. Like, this is an area where you need training. And then identifying what's the best method to go about doing it for that particular situation. So, yeah.
So, are there any downsides
to
training?
Yes. You may find yourself in a situation, or you may find that, where your partner feels like they're being manipulated. Okay. Especially if you begin to kind of nitpick at every little thing, right? Yeah. And so some things, and that's where the deal breakers thing kind of comes into play. You have to figure out, like, is this intrinsically built into this person? Right. Like I don't do this. I've never done this. But some people, are substance users. Some people like to smoke marijuana, like to drink alcohol, whatever. Right. That's not a thing for me. And so, while I'm not condoning either of those activities or anything, similar to it, there's something it's a little bit different in a person who has a drinking habit or a smoking habit and someone who doesn't like to take the trash out, or someone who doesn't like to drive, right? Those are different things.
You don't like to take the trash out, babe?
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, so for the person who doesn't like to take the trash out, that's a much easier road to training. That's a much easier fix and an easier thing to say, let's work on this, than for the person who is 35 years old and has been drinking since, we'll say legal, 21. You know what I mean? So they've been drinking roughly half.
I thought it was 18. So I'm not
right. They've been drinking roughly half their lives, all of their adult life, and then you're gonna say, "Well, I don't like a person that drinks, and so I'm gonna teach you how to not drink." That doesn't work.
So like that. A little bit more difficult than you probably think. Yeah.
And honestly, that changes who that person is. And so that may not be a battle that needs to be fought in terms of, I'm going to train my partner to be something that I want them to be.
Yeah, because especially when I'm not going to say the person is an addict.
Which is why I said they
right. But when you start taking away chemicals that my body has become used to, just like cigarettes. If somebody stops smoking cigarettes, there's another attitude, another personality that you may get, and that's why you may not be prepared for that.
And so let's take it out of the realm of addiction. You have a person who doesn't like to drive or whatever, and then you have a person
don't like to drive,
and then you have like the video gamer or the collector or the whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like for like me not liking to drive is, I mean, that's a preference I have. I don't like it. I have my reasons for not liking to drive.
Right.
Whereas the person being a collector, like chances are that, I mean, that may have been something that started when they was a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like me, I've been collecting different things since I was a child. At 31, I'm 31. At 31 years old, I still have a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from when I was in middle school.
What would y'all men do if y'all didn't have wives?
Anyway, I still have a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from when I was in middle school.
And will not let me get rid of them.
And she's not going to. That's mine. But however, so to try to train someone out of that, you're essentially changing who they are.
Yeah.
And so that's not necessarily an area of, I need to train you to not like this thing, you know, or to not do this thing.
Right. And honestly, it could go in the reverse kind of way. Two ways, honestly, that I'm thinking about. You can have the individual who is training their partner, and the partner is going along with it.
Right.
And it's just like, well, this is what I got to do to make this person happy.
Right.
And then, you know, it's either, okay, I have a meltdown and I can't take it anymore, and I go ham on you because I felt like you forced me to be this way.
Right.
Or once we do get married and I just show my complete 100% self.
Yeah.
And you like, what?
Right.
And then it's just like, well, this is who I was. I was doing all of that because that's what you asked me to do.
Because I was
That's
trying
not what
to
I volunteered.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's also the individual who's the manipulator and the one that's getting you or training you to do a certain thing because they're abusive.
Right.
You got so many people
or
that
have been abused.
Right. But they're manipulating you to isolate you from your friends, isolate you from your family.
Right.
And those usually end up in domestic relationships.
Right. And even if it's not that extreme,
or domestic violence,
right? Even if it's not that extreme of a thing, at the end of the day, if you're training a person to do something is changing who they are as a person, then at the end of it all, one of you, if not both of you, is going to end up down the road unhappy and unsatisfied because you feel like you are you're the person who's been trained to do this thing or be this person that you're not, and you feel like you're constantly putting on the front and you've changed all these things and you're not getting anything in return. You're somebody you're not, you're unhappy.
Right.
Or you're the person who was doing the training into something. Like you were training the other person, and again, you feel like it's just a constant grind of, I gotta do this, I gotta force you to do this, I gotta make you do that, you don't think for yourself, all of those types of things, and the relationship becomes arduous and taxing as opposed to beneficial and loving. And again, I look at it like, you know, both of these instances is work. But you have the gym rat who's been going to the gym and working out since they was a kid, and they love this and the running and the lifting and the this and the that and da versus the person who, you know, is overweight, hasn't worked out in 25 years, and they have to do it because the doctor says if you don't do it, you're gonna die. They're both doing the same thing. They're both in the same gym. They're both doing the same exercises on the same treadmill, running the same track, lifting the same weights. But because the one person is doing it out of love, out of passion, they're excited to go.
Yeah.
Whereas the other person, this isn't who I am. Yeah. I'm being forced to be something that I don't necessarily want to be.
Right.
But I gotta do it, and so it's miserable all the way through.
Right.
You see, and so
you have a higher chance of relapsing.
Exactly.
Because it's not something that you have mentally processed and agreed to, and have a heart and desire to do. You're gonna end up probably gaining weight back, maybe not the amount of weight that you had originally.
Right.
But sometimes it's more, sometimes you just gain weight back.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing in relationships. You forcing me to do something, and I do it for a stint or for a while.
Right.
And then after a while I could say, well, this not getting me anything.
Right.
I don't want to do it anyway, so why am I doing it? So I revert back to the person that I was, and either I'm gonna be miserable or you're gonna be miserable.
Right.
And it's usually because those are selfish motives for me to want you to do this thing because I want you to do it, or I'm gonna be who I want to be. Those are selfish characteristics.
Right.
I'm only looking out for my well-being, for me to be happy.
Right.
And after it all said and done, is honestly a happy spouse, happy house.
We have to learn how to appropriately and properly train ourselves and train our partners to be in the relationship fully and 100% for each other, and not just for our own personal gains.
Right. Because training, honestly, is a compromise. Like we were saying earlier about the whole communication thing. Mm-hmm. You had to learn a part in communication.
Right.
I also had to learn a part in communication. Right. I'm not going to request something from you and not be willing to give something myself.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's honestly saying, okay, do I want it to work or do I not want it to work?
Right.
Am I going to put my part in, or I'm just going to request that my partner puts all in?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm requesting something of you and I have nothing to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this, or, you know, compromise of, I can see that's a part of who you are, but can we work on this? If it's communication, if you need some time, can you at least communicate with me that you need time and not just shut down and have me trying to figure out what's going on, which is honestly leading me to become even more upset. You know, and we women, we have thoughts in our minds that sometimes we just put there ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it's a give and take. We're all supposed to be given 100% of the time. That's why it feels like a lot, honestly. It feels like I got to be doing all of this stuff. Yes, because you're supposed to give 100%, not 50-50, but 100%. So if I'm asking you to be trained in an area, then I'm also willing to be trained also in that same area.
Right. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and head on out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we got some training to do. We got to train ourselves.
Yeah.
We got to train each other. And I got to go train this because, you know, hit the gym, get rid of it. But we're going to catch y'all next time.
Yes.
Again, as always, like, comment, share. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you can get notifications on all the content coming out. And until next time, we'll see you next week.
All right, guys.